everybody, I am back with another holiday baking video. This is very simple. It's just my version of a Christmas chocolate chip cookie. It has some red and green mini M&Ms in it. Yum, yum, yum. I'm making a ton of them. If you want to see how easy it is to make these, just keep watching and I'll show you how to do it. So let's get started making my chocolate chip cookies. Now, chocolate chip cookies are pretty much the same across the board for almost everybody. I'm adding some candy just to make it fun and festive. I'm also using my handy dandy KitchenAid, but you can always use a hand mixer. I'm going to be doubling my recipe, even though I'll show you the ingredients that you would need just for one batch. If you're doing this by a hand mixer, do it batch by batch and don't try to do 2 batches at once. It might be too hard on the mixer. And if you don't have a piece of equipment that I have, be creative. Spoons work. You can figure it out. I'll kind of explain as we go. So the ingredients that you're going to need is 2 1/4 cups just of all-purpose flour. Super simple. You're going to need a 1/2 cup of just regular granulated sugar. You're going to need a 1.5 cups of brown sugar, because I like a little extra brown sugar in my cookies. A lot of times it's just a cup, but I add a little bit more. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of some baking powder. You're also going to need a couple teaspoons of some vanilla. You're going to need 1 cup of butter, and I'm using this Peruga. And don't get me started on salted or unsalted. This is salted. And one of these is 1 pound, or 1 cup, excuse me. You're going to need a teaspoon of salt, which I have right here in this little teacup. This is just kosher salt, easier access than the box. You're going to need 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Yum. You're going to need some candy if you want to. So I have these M&Ms. These are the mini holiday ones. You're also going to need 2 eggs. Forgot to mention those. And I think that's it. I've made these for such a long time that it's hard to remember. So I already have both of my logs of butter in here. Okay, so let's get going with these chocolate chip cookies. I'm going to be doubling the recipe, and the recipe will be at the end of this video. You can hit pause, write it down, or just play this when you're trying to make your cookies if you want to try to make it that way. I'm going to show you what you need first for one batch, and then I will double up right here in my good old KitchenAid. You can use a hand mixer. That will be fine. It'll just work it, quite a bit harder. I would definitely make it all, like bunch by bunch and not do 2 bunches at once if you're using a hand mixer. So you're going to need 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. You're also going to need a teaspoon of baking powder. This is for 1 again. You're going to need a cup of butter, and I just am using this Peruga. And this is salted. Don't get me on the debate of salted versus unsalted. I'm using salted. And one of these is 1 cup. You're going to need a cup of just good old white granulated sugar. So I have both cups of butter, those 2 slabs of butter already in here. They're softened. I'm going to start the mixer. Oh, is it up? Yes. I'm going to start the mixer on low. I'm going to start to add in the sugar. So if you're just making 1 batch, you would just use 1/2 cup. Slowly put it in. I'm going to add 2. Or 1 cup, 2 1/2 cups. Let it get mixed up. In the meantime, I'm going to pack 1 cup of brown sugar. In that goes. That's all you would use if you were making 1 batch, unless you're like me and I wanted a little extra. I'm making double, so here's my second scoop of brown sugar. And then, like I said, I like to make it a little bit sweeter, so I'm going to add half a cup more. I'm going to turn this up on medium and let it get nice and fluffy, and then we'll add our eggs. Okay, so now it looks about right. I'm going to start adding the eggs. Now you could break these into a bowl, and if you are worried about your eggs not being fresh, I understand, but these are fresh, so I'm breaking them right in one at a time. Turn it up for a second to really mix it. You would only be adding 2 if you were making one batch. Last egg. I'm going to turn it up and let it incorporate really well. And then I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to scrape the edges with my spatula just to make sure everything's really mixed well. Alright. Turn it back on. Okay, so now I got it on low, and I'm going to start to add the flour. Now, if you're making one batch, you would use 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. 1 cup in at a time, slowly. Turn it up just a little bit higher. I have the paddle attachment, by the way, going. Alright, I'm going to turn it down. my next cup. Slowly. Let it mix up. Turn it up just a little bit. Not that high, sorry. Here's the fourth that you need to add, the 2 1/4. Now I gotta do it all over again because I'm doing double. My 2. And my 1/4. The rest of my 1/4. I'm going to stop it. Scrape down the sides again. And then I'm going to turn the sucker up and let it really incorporate well. Then we'll mix in our chocolate chips and our candy. But we also, in the meantime, need to mix in our baking powder and vanilla. So let's do that. And salt. So I'm just using some organic vanilla. And I'm going to use, the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons. I'm going to use this big batch. I'm going to use a tablespoon. Yum. Gosh, that smells so good. That's why I'm going to use a tablespoon and a half. Good enough. You're also going to need some sugar and or some sugar. You're also going to need a teaspoon of salt, so I'm going to do 2. 1, 2. And you're going to need a half a teaspoon of baking powder. I'm using a whole one because I'm making a double batch. Right in. Now it's time to really mix this up and then add our candies and such. Alright, so you don't want to overbeat it, but you do want to incorporate it. So now, let me get it on the lowest setting. I'm going to start mixing in chocolate chips and candy. So I have 1 cup of semi-sweet. Mix it in slow. You could stir it in, but I'm fine just mixing it right in. With a big mixer like this, it's easy to do that, but if you're doing it by hand, it might be easier to stir it. Alright, I gotta add another bag because I'm doubling it up. So let me turn this up just a notch. Alright, back down. Here goes the next bag. these mini M&Ms. They're just going right in. We'll stir this even better. And bag number 2. Stop it, because you can see it is like coming out of the mixer. And let's push it down. And I'm going to get the dough pushed down and get the paddle out. Because we are about ready to start getting our cookies made. This looks so pretty. I love the colors. Okay, so it's all mixed up. Look at that. Does that not look divine? I got two cookie trays lined with parchment for easy cleanup. I don't even cut it even. I don't even care. Doesn't matter. I got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I got 2 racks in the middle. This first batch of cookies will spread out more because warm cookie batter spreads out more than cold cookie batter. I know that's weird. If your cookie dough is cold and you get it right in the oven, they're more puffy. But we don't have time for that. Look at all that dough. I have cookies to make. So I am not worrying about that with the first batter. And while they're in the oven, I'll just pop this right into the freezer or refrigerator while it's waiting. I'm using a 1.5 inch scoop right onto the paper. I always have to figure out where I'm going here. And again, give them plenty of room on the first batch if it's warm. This ensures that all your cookies are going to cook evenly when you use a scoop like this. You can find them for like next to nothing at Walmart. And they're so easy to use. But if you don't have one, don't worry. Just get a spoon and try to get yourself together some little chocolate chip balls. Did that even sound right? I don't know. Little chocolate chip cookie balls. There we go. Maybe that's worse. I'm not sure. All right. That's good for that tray because, again, these will spread out. So let me move it. These are going straight into the oven. They're going to bake for about 7 minutes. I'm going to rotate them at the 7-minute mark and let them bake again for another 7 minutes. Let them cool on the tray for about 5 minutes. Remove them to cooling racks or whatever you like to use to cool your cookies on tonight. I'm not using cooling racks. I'm using a big tray. That will work really well because I'll have them out of the oven. A lot of times you put them on cooling racks or something else so the air circulates under them and stops them from cooking. But we don't like really like hard cookies, and these will be soft, so I kind of undercook them, and if they stay on the tray or on any kind of tray, it's not gonna hurt them any. I think that's about good for this one. I probably could fit one more. Get 2 more probably. I'll make this one kind of small. Alright, in the oven they go. We'll see them in about 14 minutes. First batch is cooling on the trays for about 5 minutes. Then they will go on this large tray. I'm not using a wire rack because I'm making so many. And the next batch will go in. Okay, so these have cooled well enough that I can just move them right over to this large tray. just going to keep doing that until all of that batter is used up. It's still in the freezer. I'm not even getting it out. These cookies are over here. Christmas cookies are so fun. On the batter, or onto the next bake, I guess you'd say. The next batch. There they all are. Can you see them? Okay. Alright, batch number 2 going right back into the oven, 7 minutes, and then I rotate them and do another 7 minutes, pull them out, let them be on the tray for about 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5, put them on either another tray or some cooling racks, and move on to the next batch. So here is our gigantic pile of chocolate chip cookies with mini M&Ms in red and green, very festive. I'm going to get as many in here as I can and cover it up. And there they all are. I'm going to actually use foil to cover these up. I want them covered up really good. So I'm going to cover these with foil until I get the rest of the cookies done and get them in the box. And these are ready for the cookie boxes. I'm going to go on probably and make a couple batches of no-bake cookies tonight too. I think I'm going to do that in just a couple minutes. But this is done, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if you try these cookies. You can add any kind of candy you want to it. You can add the ones with peanuts. I just don't really like that kind. But you can add whatever kind of candy, just to jazz up the cookie a little bit. And of course, you know, chocolate chip cookies are always a big hit no matter who you are. I mean, they're just delicious, and these are soft and fluffy, beautiful cookies, and they will look great in the boxes. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my blog at kjaggers.com. You can find out more information, more recipes over there. I'm on the blog all the time. And happy holidays to you all. Bye-bye.